morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Dr. M Health Corner Talk Show. Welcome. It's a Saturday. It's 10 a.m. MST, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and of course, 7 p.m. in South Africa, right in CAT time. Welcome. I see people are joining on. Come on. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome. I hope your week has been wonderful. It's a weekend. It went too fast. Soon here in Canada, next Monday is a family holiday, so we'll have a short week next week. But we need rest. Come on, I see my people are coming on. Thank you for joining. As you can see, our topic is quite exciting. It's quite a heavy topic that I think honestly we need to come back and unpack it more with these legends. And before we start, I just want to basically inform our LinkedIn family. I'm not able to pull up your comments. And of course, this is PG-18. If you are joining here with your kids, caution, please, PG-18, okay? We're going to go raw here. I have amazing speakers. They write in here with us. And Dr. Tope, I'm hoping she's going to join our conversation. Welcome, Dr. Charles and Dr. Candace.
Thank you, Dr. Nadi, for having me.
Thank
you.
I hope your week is going well. And of course, I'm hoping Dr. Candace is having fun down in Jamaica. I'm jealous. Dr. Charles, you must be jealous too. You know what? Before we start, I don't want to do injustice here. I would like, Dr. Charles, I'll start with you, brother. Introduce to this community. You are a familiar face to our people here, but you know what? Some people are new. And of course, to our viewers, if you are new here, just click like, share, and basically invite your family, invite your colleagues, invite your spouse. This is going to be a very warm, thought-provoking discussion that I think all of us deserve to be here and learn. Okay? Dr. Charles, I'm going to give it to you. Introduce yourself to this community.
Hi, everyone. I am Charles Odame, Ankrah, originally from Ghana, currently based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm a scientist by training. I specialize in air pollution, studies and developing instruments. And also, I double as a community leader. And trust me, as a community leader, there's nothing I have not seen. So I call myself the untrained therapist, and I have been through it all. So I'm here to share with you practical experiences, what has worked for people, what is working for me, and hey, learn from the comments as well. This is a time for us to be raw with each other and get to know each other and get better.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Dr. Candace, you want to go on this?
Yeah, sure. Wow, that's very impressive, Dr. Charles. I always think of myself as a scientist at heart, but I am a therapist by training, right? I was a licensed mental health counselor for about 15 years before I became a clinical psychologist. As a licensed mental health counselor, similarly, I have been through almost all the populations you can think of. I've worked with foster care. I've worked with substance abuse, felons, incarcerated, all of those. So just like you said, every kind of thing that you have seen in the community, I pretty much have seen and I've heard those stories from the back end as well. And so I look to share and also learn as Dr. Charles says. So again, Dr. Nadi, thanks for having me. And yay, Dr. Tope made it.
Yes.
Hi, I did. Hi.
Hi, Dr. T. You want to give our community a brief introduction so that we can kick off right away here?
Right. So my name is Dr. Roberts. I'm a family physician based in Alberta, Calgary, and I really have a passion for women's health. And I'm so glad that we're discussing this very topical issue that I see in my practice from day to day. And it would be nice to kind of rub minds. I have firsthand experience of some of these issues that we're going to be talking about. And as Unati would say, we're very real here. We're very true. We really want to get down to the basics and not just talk about the theory. So I'm here to give a little bit. And I'm fondly called Dr. T, so we'll keep it simple, Dr. T. And thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Doc. Welcome. And of course, to our viewers, I'm Dr. Unat Maiku, and I'm the host in this talk show. It's all every weekend on Saturday. We come here and talk about everything concerning our lives, finances, everything. So I bring all these thought leaders for us to learn. Every time I have this show, I'm transformed. And I'm hoping you guys have the same experience. And again, I want to remind you it's PG-18 today. Come, bring your coffee, bring your tea. Let's kick off. Who's gonna start? Let's talk finances in relationships. I decided to say in relationships because people are in relationships. They're not necessarily married. And I'll just say an umbrella word, intimate relationships. Finances, they're supposed to bring us together and we should thrive together in relationships, but they seem to be a source of pain. Dr. T, oh, brother, Dr. Charles, Dr. Raw, I call him Dr. Raw. AKA Raw. Kick off, brother.
Thank you, Dr. Unati. You see, from a man's perspective, sometimes I bring a perspective that is resonating with me and what I've picked up from men conversations. So even if it does not resonate with you, bear with me, but these are realistic conversations we've had with men. When you hear from both sides, you'll be a better judge. Okay. Finances, first and foremost, it's money. And it is expenditure. In relationship, it's about give and take. Okay. So you have to ensure that when it comes to money, that element of give and take is there. I always say that we all have needs and we all have wants. And the relationship has needs and wants. So these are two independent things that we cannot mingle together. The relationship has needs and wants. You as an individual, you have needs and wants. Okay. I want to have the freedom to be able to still do a few things that I want to do. I want to buy. I see candy. I'm not supposed to call my partner asking permission on why I'm buying a candy for myself. Or I see some beautiful lingerie. I don't need permission to do that. The perception of not discussing expectations when it comes to finances is a big issue, and I will dwell on that. The very moment both couples are working, okay, the dynamics are a little bit different. The very moment one person is working and the other person is not working, it's also another dynamic. So permit me to address these two. Then I'll handle. The first one is when both couples are working, they're all making income, and most of the time one person will make more than the other. All right, and then the mathematics will start in the head of everyone. Both men and women do this. Okay, and when it comes to women, when we say cheating, women think about the man going for another woman. A man talking about cheating thinks about the woman you not sharing her money. That is cheating in a man's mind. So the word cheating, we think about it differently. So when you say my husband is cheating on me and your husband, my wife is cheating on me, you need to delve deeper into it. He might be referring to finances. Men, we are very sensitive about money and how it pertains, because we are having a paradigm shift where women used to be in the kitchen to now where women are making more, potentially making more money than the men. And that brings the power play perspective. So when both partners are working, there must be that open, honest conversation about money, especially what the relationship needs to survive now and the future. And then the individual needs. I beg of you, leave individual needs alone. Women don't want to be told what to use their money for. And it's interesting to know that men who wants to tell women what to use their money for don't want to be told what to do with theirs too. So we need to ensure that we are not crisscrossing each other when it comes to that individuality component of expenses. We need to have expenses for the relationship, expenses for now. Everybody is happy. Everybody is contributing into that pot. And every expenses goes from that pot. Now, my final comment on this, and I can see Dr. Candace and Dr. T nodding, is the perception that one person in the relationship is not working. Homemaker. It can be the man or the woman. Trust me, this person is working. What do you mean by the person is not working? Being a mother and raising your child at home is work. And if that person wants to monetize the hours they spend on raising your child, and taking care of you, you cannot pay them. So we need to, I want us to right away, right from the beginning of the conversation, stop that mentality that the person who is at home and taking care of the kids is not working. That is wrong. It's not true. If you bring somebody in from outside town, take care of the children, what do? Don't you pay them?
Okay.
You pay them. So that person is working. So the money you are making is for both of you, and it has to be dealt with as such. I'll stop here for now.
Wow. Ladies, you are nodding. Dr. Candace, I want you to chip in because you are a money-making lady in terms of how you've been educating all those moms. Do you want to give us your perspective on this? I mean, how did that happen?
I think that a lot of women, especially women, don't consider finances when they're in love. And to me, that's a big problem. I always say to people, marriage is first and foremost a business agreement. So even though we're not necessarily talking about all legal marriage, we're even talking about in the sense of common law marriage, right? Because if your state or your country recognizes common law marriage, just being together long enough means you're married. And so before anything else, marriage is a business and a financial arrangement. Because if you don't have a prenuptial agreement, then the court is going to decide how those finances are managed, how they're divided, how they are shared, all of those sorts of things. And a lot of women, like I said, especially like you said, nowadays, women are working, they're successful, all of these things, and they'll say, oh, I'm just so in love. He's just so great. He's just so wonderful. All of the things. But then at the end of the day, when or if the relationship doesn't work out, then they're now in a financial hole and not just an emotional one. And I think that has to always be considered when going into a relationship. And I'm going to tell you just a brief story I heard recently. There was a man and a woman, celebrity man and woman, I don't know their names, who got married, right? Woman was worth 20 million, man was worth 70 million. Man made woman sign a prenuptial agreement to protect the man, right? He has the more money. And of course, she's like, of course, you have more money. I have no problem. I'm going to sign. No problem. Lo and behold, the prenup didn't protect her. So when he divorced her, she couldn't touch his 70 and he took half her 20. Right? So again, I think it's always important, just because, people are always like, oh, well, he makes more than me. And, he's got, no, always have it in writing how the assets are going to be divided, how they're going to be maintained during the marriage or during the relationship. So just because I had something before the marriage doesn't make it joint property because we got married. Like you said, I started my company long before I met any potential mate. And so whenever it is that we go into any sort of relationship, that's the first thing that we discuss. Like, please understand, anything that I have before, anything that comes from the money that's created from the business that I had before, all of that, even if I got it during our relationship, it is mine and mine only. And I always tell people, I think my mentality is a little bit more like the men, Dr. Charles was saying, I feel like, break my heart is one thing, mess with my money, we got problems.
Dr. Candace. Okay.
Wow.
Dr. T, you want to chip in?
Fantastic. I don't know what else I'm going to add, but let's start with this. I don't know what the raw statistics are, but finances is one of the top causes of breakdown of relationships.
It is number one.
That's the first thing to decide. The second thing, especially for women, is we've got to take our emotions out of finances. Number 3, we must discuss finances. As uncomfortable as it is, we must take the emotions out and have a clear discussion with our current partner or whoever we're planning to be in a long-term relationship with, to say, hey, this is what you're going to bring in, this is what I'm going to bring in, and this is how it's going to be managed. Don't go into relationships assuming that your finances is going to be sorted out, because it's not. So you got to be very clear about it. As Dr. Drummond said, it's almost like an agreement. Whether it is verbal or written, you have to agree that this is how we're going to manage our money. This is who's going to pay the rent or the mortgage. This is the person that's going to be responsible for. Make it clear. That once you do that, then there is no ambiguity. Then the man doesn't feel you're cheating, and you don't, like Dr. Charles said. So it's really clear about how you want to spend money. And I love the comparison of wants and needs. You don't want to make it so tight that before I buy a handkerchief or a necklace, I need to get permission from my spouse. So I always say, look, when we're managing finances, we should look at it in 3 different ways. One is we each deal with our money. That's it. No crisscross. Number 2, we have a way that I deal with my money, you deal with yours, but then we have a common purse that we can dip into to do one thing or the other, and that will be clearly communicated. And the third one, of course, will be a mix and match of those 2. So the key thing is we got to get our emotions out of it. We must discuss it, and then we can decide how we want to manage our finances, knowing that if this is not managed, that relationship is headed for the rocks. It's going to sink.
Thank you. Dr. T, you just nailed it. Look, Dr. Candace said something. When you have a business, when you have an asset, sometimes you have inheritance from your parents. And that inheritance is yours, okay? And most of the time, women fall victim because of the emotional attachment. Because the very moment the person falls in love, they forget about the possibility of the relationship going south. Okay.
Yeah.
And they give and give and give. There are few cases where, of course, when the woman is going in for the money, that they will not give, and they will take and take and take. But when you want to have a very honest conversation about relation, trust me, this is what makes men fall in love deeper with women. I've been telling friends, man, we tell women, I love you like it's water. We don't mean it. I'm being 100% raw here. When a woman says, I love you, if you sample 100 women, for them to use the word, I love you, 96% of them will mean it. Okay? The other 4 want to use it to do their own thing. You know what I mean? Men, if you sample 100 men, when they say, I love you, 80% of them don't mean it. It's just about 20%. We know what to tell women to get them to believe us. This is men. This is how we are built. And we know what to tell a woman to get her to sign that check or to do 1 or 2 things for us. Let us be very careful of how we start a relationship. When you know very well that you have more money than your partner, whether man or the woman, and a person begins by investing and giving you gifts, presents, which may not amount to even 1/10 of what you are worth, and keeps giving. Sometimes gifts are good, but you need to pay attention to some of them. Because as Dr. T said, when things go south, they begin to count. Oh, and I bought you this, and I bought you that, and this, and I've been buying you this, and I have been doing this, and I've been doing this. And in all fairness, when you put the totality together, it's not even up to 1/10 of what you are worth. But then they'll begin to record all these expenses. So finances, you need to have an honest conversation. And I completely agree that let each person's money be their money. Let each person's property prior to the relationship be their property. Okay? If the 2 of you decide that, well, we're going to put it all together, damn the consequences, is that if the 2 of you, that's your decision. Go into it well discussed. And we must always try to remove emotions from this discussion. Most of the time, when you start this discussion, it goes very heated and people don't like it. If somebody tries to hide their salary from you, the first question you need to ask is why? I will tell you how much I earn and let you know it's not yours, it's mine. If there's something we need to share, we share. It's being honest with people, you know. And when I'm buying you something, I'm not buying it for you because you need it or because you lack it. Because I'm buying it as a gift, as out of love. Because there's that element of generosity in relationships. Look, I can know that Dr. T can buy Bentley for herself. I'll just walk to the shop and pick a brand new Bentley for her. The reason being that I am doing it out of the abundance of my heart. But when you start hiding and you lead the other person on to think you don't have it, and the other person keeps investing in the relationship, thinking that they're trying to make you comfortable, then later on they discover that, oh boy, she's worth more than I thought, he is worth more than I thought. Then bitterness gets in and the relationship crumbles. Finances cannot make relationships in 3 seconds and it's done. It's not salvageable. It's a serious issue. We need to address this. I do not subscribe to the idea of the very moment you meet somebody, their money is your money and his money is my money. And it has the younger generation, if they are watching this show, that guy's money is not yours. That woman's money is not yours. Get that out of your thick skull. I don't know why they are watching this thing and developing this mentality that that gentleman's money is his money, and will begin to question. You go into the account. What did you buy? What did you do? What did you do? No. Their money is not your money. Period.
Thank you. I must keep this in. Sorry. For the older woman that's working, the woman in her late 30s, 40s, and 50s that's getting into a new relationship. You've got a fantastic income. You earn a 6-figure salary. You meet this nice guy. He's the right height. He's got the packs. He's got everything. And don't fall into the trap of enabling that man. Don't fall into the trap of using your money to endear him to you. It's the greatest mistake you would ever make. These guys are also smart. They will say, I love you. We know they don't mean it 8 out of 10 times, and they can ruin you. So make sure your love is real. Make sure you are not enabling a man with the income that you have, thinking you are buying his love and affection because you are lonely. My people will say, Yale any brain.
There's no man that will turn down a generous woman. Oh my goodness. Yes. And it is a very deadly road to tread on. And Dr. T, you nailed it. And when you reverse it as well, if you are a rich man, do not entice women with your money, because then the person is coming in for the money. Because that is how you started the relationship, enticement. So we need to be very careful.
Thank you.
You know what? You guys, you've said a lot of things and I'm excited. I want to comment on each one of you. You know what? Let's talk about the faith, how it plays a role in relationships. And also, while we're still talking about finances, you know, we find people, more especially, I'll talk about the believers. I'm a Christian. I see this a lot in Christianity, where women or men, they are scared to discuss this element. They find themselves thinking that if I bring it to the discussion, I mean, there's a lot of people now that are progressive that discuss these issues with the premarital counseling and all. But we still see traditional churches or traditional families where when you bring such a discussion of finances, it seems like you are not here to stay. Do you want to kick off from that? Because we see this a lot.
Dr. Onati.
We see it in 2022, guys.
Yeah, it's right. I will combine religion and culture. They are very close when it comes to the issue of finances in relationships. In my culture, there's a saying that when a woman buys a gun, she keeps it in the man's room. Okay, that saying is very deep. Let me unpack it. It means that a woman, you can work and make money, okay? And when you make the money, guess who keeps it and decides who uses it? Your husband.
It's been around, actually, that rule. It's been around.
It's been around.
It's been around. Women,
when you are entering into relationship, and do you know why a lot of mothers advise their sons never to marry a woman who is making more money because of that same problem. They think that the woman who has money cannot be controlled, cannot be humbled, because they are coming from a cultural perspective where they use finances as a tool to domineer and control women. So you have to make sure the woman financially is disempowered so that they will listen to you, so that you can have your way around. You know, I'm being raw here, and I am being very authentic with everyone. So culture and religion expects that. Now, society is changing. I have raised my daughters, they've become medical doctors, lawyers, engineers. They're making money and living a good life. They meet somebody, excuse my language here if I don't say it well, who barely has been invested in, and this gentleman sees a gold mine and wants to come and harvest. And they come into the relationship and they want to control and even decide monetarily what happens, what investments are done, blah, 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 blah. See, we need to be very honest with ourselves. What you will not like be done to you or your children, you should not do it on others.
Another person.
I'm a firm believer of that. So religion has contributed heavily. And nowadays, when you go into the church, most of the marriages that are collapsing is as a result of money.
Yep.
Because the woman is working. The woman is working. The man is using his money on his family. Okay? And wants the woman to use hers to take care of the immediate nuclear family. Once he takes his away and go to his extended family. It doesn't work that way. The same way, some women also still hold on to, Dr. Unachi, the patriarchal thing. A man is supposed to keep the home. A man, it is his responsibility. So although she's making income, she expects the man to contribute to the upkeep, 100% upkeep of the home, while she holds onto her money to herself. This is my money, and takes it away. That's what I'm talking about, that level of cheating, a cultural cheating in marriage. And it happens through finances and other means. Times are changing. We need to be sensitive to some of these things. And when the women cannot take it anymore, guess what? It results in physical abuse. The man starts abusing the woman. I am using women because women are most of the time the victims. Okay. And the man starts abusing her, starts maltreating her, denigrating her. But will never say the source of the anger is money. They will never say it. But it could be that. So religion and culture has contributed to financial problems in relationships.
The low self-esteem, Dr. Charles. You guys, I don't want us to dwell much on this topic. Let's talk about sex in relationships, in intimate relationships, the expectations. You know, we see a lot of things. You know, mostly, I'll talk about it, Dr. Tia, Dr. Candace. You see this, I'm sure, in your own private practice, where couples come in, there's a misalignment. One partner wants it more than the other, and the other is doing disservice to the other. Do you guys want to comment on that? Because I strongly believe this has to be discussed, because this is also another element that brings to people going.
I'd like to comment here.
Go ahead.
I feel like, especially now, you know, with the empowerment of women, you know, with, like you said, being employed, being all of that, you know, we have, as women, have like many requirements that, like you say, you know, he's supposed to do this, he's supposed to do this, he's supposed to do this. And without all of our requirements being met, we now feel like we're justified in withholding sex. You know, now I've always talked to my couples in this way, you know, women need to feel connected to have sex. While oftentimes men need to have sex to feel connected.
Wow.
Right? And so what happens is we end up on this cycle where, you know, this woman is feeling slighted because of one of her many demands or whatever are not being met. And so as a result, she's punishing him by withholding sex. And in doing that, he then feels like, well, she doesn't love me anymore. So why should I make the effort to then connect with her in these ways, or complete all of these tasks that she's asking me to do if there's nothing for me to get out of it anyway? And so, like I said, they drift further and further apart because of this withholding. And I want to say that oftentimes it's not reasonable, right? The fact of the matter is that, like you say, you have 10 different requests that you want for your man to do. He has done 8 of these 10 requests, but now you're going to withhold the one request that he has. And this is that's 100% that you're taking away for the 20% that you haven't gotten. And it's, like I say, it's not reasonable. And so that happens, and it continues to happen, because I feel that women oftentimes don't see sexual intimacy as a requirement of their relationship, as a requirement, or as a need to continue the value and the connection within the relationship, when quite frankly, I mean, that's what a man gets from the relationship. The reason he's in the relationship is to not have to go out every night and fight for sex. Like, he goes out every night to go to the bars, go to the clubs, has to peacock, has to be the first, the chosen, whatever. And he has to do this repeatedly. And now he's in a relationship with the idea that now he doesn't have to continue to seek sex, and yet he's still having to fight for it. And you wonder why he's like, you know what? This is not what I signed up for.
Dr. Candace. You know what? And you know what? I also want to bring that element of faith, because this is a very packed topic, guys, most especially the sex part, because Dr. T, I wanted to chip in about how also medical conditions actually contribute to this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Things, guys.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
Go ahead, sis.
Good. I was taking notes when Dr. Drummond was talking, and I was just writing about, look, why will sex be lacking in a relationship? So yes, we have the emotional parts of it. We have the instability or unequal demands and needs being met and not met. But how about the medical aspect of it? How about the fact that this guy can't just get it up, and that's why he gives you excuses. And that's why is this man always tired? Maybe he's got low testosterone. He just started on antidepressants. Maybe he's struggling with the side effects of some of those medications. So we also need to be sensitive and not always make assumptions when we're not getting intimate demands from either the man or the woman. Could there be an underlying medical condition? Is he diabetic? Is he hypertensive? I remember being in a talk last year sometime when we're talking about causes of erectile dysfunction, and we're saying that even sometimes the first manifestation of a cardiovascular disease is down there in the penis. It just doesn't work as well as it used to. And let's face it, especially men that come from some areas of the world, I would talk about West Africa and African men, is such a big thing. Not having an erection is the most devastating thing to a man. And let's face it, they don't want to talk about it. They won't want to call the clinic and say, hey, I can't get it up, I need to see my doctor. They'll rather not call, go online and buy Viagra and all whatnot, and try to still get it up, and it's still not working. The woman suffers, and she's wondering, why doesn't he find me attractive anymore? He might be suffering too. So we need to be very sensitive to the needs of our partners. We don't need to always assume that they're not doing this for one reason or the other. There might be underlying medical problems. And guys, please don't be ashamed. Even in women, there's a condition called hypoactive sexual desire syndrome or something like that. And there's a new drug for that. I would say the name of the drug on this show. So girls, we also have something to help us if the libido is out, is not working, if we never feel interested. There's a condition that's out there now, and and it can be treated. We don't need Viagra, but we have something that can get us straight in the mood and make our partners happier. Thank you.
I love it. You know what, Dr. T, as you were actually saying that, I just want to piggyback on that. And also for women, there's also menopause. Nowadays we also have premature menopause. I have young patients as young as 35, and we tend to forget this age group where they do not have any libido at all. So we need to be very sensitive. In what you just said to me, the power of communication, that's all we need here. The power of communication. Honey, what's going on? You understand? We need to learn. And also, we need to remove this. What is wrong with you? There's something I've trained myself in the last 2 years. I've been sensitive about what is wrong with you, word. I've replaced it with what is going on with you? How can I help? You need to listen to people. So that is very common too. And menopause could cause pain down there. So, man, be gentle. Be gentle with your partners. Be gentle. Lubricants are there for this. Now in advanced gynecological world, there's even lasers for women who can afford that to make that place soft and smooth and can, slide it easily. So there's so much you can do. So women, menopause is treatable. We can help, so please consult. Dr. Charles, I can see Dr. Ross.
Dr. Charles, bring it on.
Beyond every orgasm, there's a reality. I always tell people that.
Yes.
Beyond every orgasm, there's a reality. Don't ever forget that. And don't ever forget that men, we are not looking for a place to just penetrate. We are looking for a place to enjoy and feel satisfied. I keep telling my female friends who talk to me about some of the issues they're having, I said, if you know how to treat your man, you have him at your fingertip, at your beck and call. Why is it that a man will have one night fling with a particular woman and it will etch in his brain for the rest of his life? Anytime he remembers that moment, no matter how dead his penis is, it will erect because there is something that woman planted in his brain. Okay, and I'm being very serious here. Dr. Candace, you mentioned this. In intimate relationships, the man chose you of all the other women to settle with you at home. Okay, beyond that beauty is to ensure that his sexual needs are met. Men, our needs are very, very simple. Okay, food.
Exactly.
Food.
That's all.
Sex. Okay, and a little bit of fun. That's it. That's our needs. We don't care. We can wear one shirt for 20 years, we don't care.
But this.
So, if a man selects you as a wife or as a partner to live in the same house with, he didn't do that because he wants to just come and look at you every day and smile and go to bed.
Do it.
Deep down in his mind, you are the solution to his sexual appetite. Period. So, if he is not getting that, if he feels, let me tell you one thing, Dr. Candace, you touched on this. If a man feels that you're using sex as a bait on him, you are done. Okay?
Yep.
You are done. You will disgust him. He sees you and he sees you just as a normal person. I'm being very blunt and sincere here. Sometimes women are asking, I don't attract my husband anymore. Yes, because he's seeing you as his younger brother. There's nothing beyond that. And that's it. When a man sees you, he needs to feel that this is the woman I met 20 years ago. Okay? A man can live with you 30 years. Your body will change. Sometimes women think that it is the body that is changing that is causing the man not to desire her. No, it is not that. Okay? It is a feeling of not having sexual gratification anymore. Unmet sexual expectations that we struggle to voice out. We struggle to say. Because when we say it, the response you will get is that, oh, now you are complaining. And when we were younger, it was like this. Now you are complaining. But instead of the partner to listen and realize that this man is talking about something very, very important to him. Okay. When our testosterone levels are up, we don't reason well. We just want to ensure that is massaged well and we are put in a good place. Okay. And Sex and good sex. We don't want sex. We want good sex.
Sex. Yes.
Okay. So if you are giving your man sex, you need to ask yourself, is it good? Okay. Have you ever asked your partner, do I satisfy you? Some people don't ask that. Most women think that the very moment a man ejaculates, he is done. No. The man wants satisfaction, and the satisfaction is not the number of rounds you need to have with a person during the night. It could be a 2-minute sex section, and that will be enough for the man. And anytime he's at work, his brain begins, he sees the clock at 5:45, he starts packing his bag and heading home because he's looking for that thing again. It's men. I'm being brutally honest with you.
I love you, Dr. Charles. And you know what? We need to normalize the comment.
You need to normalize this conversation because ask yourself, what does that other woman that may potential he's seeing, what does that woman have that you don't have? You need to ask yourself that question. What does she have? Okay, because she has discovered the art of seducing a man, the art of seduction. Okay, he met you beautiful every day, and now after 45, he comes home and he meets everything like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, come on, I want to see something. You know, I want to see something new. Men, our eyes, we want to see something new, surprising. The lingerie, change it, spice it up. Okay, don't say that you have kids. Most women, after they have children, that's the end of it. The attention shifts onto the children, and that is it. They don't care about the man. No, we have needs. From the day we met you, we have that need until the day we put us in our casket. We have that need. Do not ever forget that. And we need sexual satisfaction, not sex.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I think it's important what he just said too. You know, like you say, after childbirth, a lot of women, like you say, almost ignore their partner and focus entirely on the children and give their partner really the scraps, the leftovers of themselves. And that is, again, unfair because you selected this person to partner with, to create a life with, to grow with. They deserve more than the scraps and the leftovers of you. They deserve a piece of you that is done specifically and catered to them because they are the partner. They are the one that is most important in creating the life that it is that you want to create for your children, for your family, etc.
You know what, Dr. Charles, as you were talking, and also the importance of doing it, latest research, actually, this was brought to my attention only last year, that having sex regularly, for men specifically, there's a benefit. It prolongs their lives too, because, I mean, there's endorphins, there's happy neurotransmitters here, all right? And of course, we need also to realize that sex relieves stress, right? Stress, yes. So we pump out those.
It tames the lion. It tames the lion.
As Dr. Charles says, they're not very good at reasoning when the mind gets all kind of clouded and whatnot. So now you, as a woman, now you're like, oh, you can't find the words, and so I'm not gonna talk to you until you find the words, and you know, and it's like, and again, they pull further and further and further apart. You know, give him the sex, then talk. Yes. Because he will be able to now concentrate and coherently explain whatever the problem is or whatever the issue is. Because like I keep saying, the reality is he cannot stop doing his duties. He cannot stop, you know, oh, I'm just going to not pay the bills today. Oh, I'm going to just not do the things that I'm going to do because you decide you're not going to give me sex. You know what I'm saying? Like the woman uses this thing while the man has no recourse. And like you said, I feel like that, like, again, I agree. As soon as a woman uses it in this way, they become worse than just a regular person. They become almost like a prostitute because now there's a payment required in order for him to get what it is that he wants. And he looks down on that.
Dr. Candace, I would like to also do the reverse. When it's a man, let's talk about men that withhold sex to their women. Let's Dr.
Udati, we want Dr. Candace say something. Let me tell you what.
Let me
Dr.
get
Unati.
we see this, Dr. Charles, before you land, we see this. You guys talked about with body image. Guys, Dr. Tope, you see this all the time in your practice, where women come to us and say, my husband is body shaming me. My partner is body shaming me.
Yep.
Dr. Charles, I would like to hear from you because we
Yes.
see it also.
You see, when you touched on something about men withholding sex from their wife, to me seriously, all you need to do is to grab the rod and the case over. There's no way that man will say he's not doing it. What happened to you sitting on your husband? What happened to you initiating sex? That is a no-brainer. Any woman who makes that excuse, it does not have an excuse, and you need to point it to them point blank, unless the man has traveled. So far as he is sleeping in the same house. What are we talking about here? All you need to do is wait for him to sleep, and before he wakes up, something is happening to him, and see whether he will say no. No.
Dr. Charles, there's also an element of culture here, though. We also
Yes.
need, you know
Yes.
what? Actually, to our viewers here, I want you to know this. We're gonna bring this actually as a hybrid program because we need to educate women and men out there. There's people that come from traditional families where sex is not a discussion. Most of us came from those backgrounds, so it is our responsibility if we want to be adults and be part of this game. So I think that's very important. Some women or men, they need, guys, education. It's not a no-brainer.
It's true.
Dr. Charles,
Yeah.
some people come from a background where they are fasting the whole month. They are
They
fasting.
cannot moan. Most women don't moan to the hearing of their husbands because they think that means they are prostitutes. I'm being 100% blunt here. They will never moan. And that is what we want to hear, to turn our brains to work well in the next morning. Because when I'm at work, I remember that sound you made last night, and
The
my word,
ringing
I am
tone.
in heaven. I
The
am in
ringing
heaven.
tones.
Okay?
The ringing tones.
The
They
ringing
like
tone.
it.
I'm in heaven. When I call you, when you say hi, darling, say like, wow, that voice again. You are on your way home. Okay.
Yeah.
But some women will never ever moan, not because they are not enjoying it. Some women will never even thank their husbands. Oh, honey, I really enjoyed you last night. I didn't enjoy you. I want you to go left. I want you to go right. I'm feeling better on the left side than the right. No, nothing. They will lie down quiet, seal their mouths because that is what culture has taught them. Look, it's about time we need to break this norm. It is ruining relationships, and that is why most men cheat. Okay, because when I go to that woman, oh my goodness, even touching her lips with a kiss, the way she will moan into my ear alone, that every day I want to go there and hear that sound because my wife is going to be seal her mouth with super glue throughout the activity. You ask them, how did I perform? There's no even discussion about sexual gratification. Women also need sexual gratification. We don't talk about it. You see, these conversations has to be normalized. It is what is killing us in relationships. One person is not satisfied, they are not able to say it, and it manifests in another way. The man is abusing you, you don't know why he's abusing you. Okay, it is an anger originating from the unsatisfactory performance you've been displaying in bed, but he cannot tell you.
Oh man,
He cannot tell you. Let us normalize these conversations. We are adults here. Let's normalize it and talk about it. You know, some of the things that most people come to you, Dr. T, Dr. Candace, Dr. Unati, and talk about in the clinics, they have never shared it with their husbands, with their partners. Never. Yes. And you ask yourself, why?
Dr. Charles,
why?
I need to respond to that though. Thank you, Dr. Charles. But the flip side, they're also very traditional men.
Correct.
Yes.
That when they have intimacy with their spouses and their spouses moan, they offer them certain positions, they decide to use some add-ons, they look at them and say, who have you been sleeping with? You're a prostitute. How do you manage that? For example, sex toys. Seriously, if you bring a sex toy home, some women, especially from our part of the world, you need permission from your husband. He will say, how dare you bring that here? You must have been doing something else. So how do we balance all of that out? Because seriously, oftentimes women have intercourse with their men and they don't even achieve an orgasm. And the man doesn't always care about it, especially the traditional men. You understand?
Yeah.
So you're not even allowed to speak up about how you feel. So in as
True.
much as the women want to express themselves, I believe the men also need to be educated to know that when my wife asks me for a doggy, it doesn't mean she's sleeping out. She's not a
True.
prostitute, and you don't need to label her as such.
Dr. T, last year we actually had here on the show Dr. Teresa. She mentioned this. Men, if you're watching us here, the biggest and the most sensitive organ of a woman is the clitoris. Spend time there. Spend time on your woman's clitoris. Sex is not about penetration only. And I am aware that some women have injuries down there, but it's a very small percentage. Pay attention to your woman's clitoris. It has many neurons, many nerves that make it jump and be all over the place. I just wanted to say that. As we're talking about all these things, guys, children. Some people nowadays, we have career-driven women who are starting, or maybe starting family at 35 and above. Actually, in medicine now, we've even changed the terminology, advanced maternal age. We don't want to use that anymore because women are waiting longer. Women are not desperate to have kids. The culture of coming from, oh, I want to be 25 by 30, I want to have kids, I want to have my house, it's gone. Women today, they are so informed, right? So let's talk about it. Last week, I think 2 weeks ago, I made a clip on, we need to know our why. Some people get into relationships or marriages without exploring that option. Do you want to have kids? Do we ever ask our partners, do you want to have kids? Because this is also another breaking point in relationships. You guys kick off on that one. How many children do you want to have? Or you want to have zero, but you didn't discuss it with your partner?
You know, I'll start there. It's a very passionate topic. If you take a lot of couples when they get together, the expectation is that they will procreate and see their children inherit their generations handed down the pollen. But I mean, most of the times, it like finances is one of the things that I never discuss. It is an expectation. Okay, the unspoken expectation is that and society also expects you guys have been married 2 years. When are the children coming? That is what they ask. And you know, so we need to be very careful because there could be a man who is not biologically able to have kids. There could be a woman who is not biologically able to carry children of her own. So it has to resort to adoption or surrogacy or a whole lot of options. This is why I believe in openness before marriage. This is a very important thing. Some people hide it, and then after marriage, it comes to the surface and it bites. I do believe that during the dating phase, when you've all decided you're going to move into settling together, children should be one of the issues. Sometimes you meet somebody who already has 3. A man who has 3, he doesn't want any more. A woman who has 3, she doesn't want any more. Say, I don't want any more kids. Can you discuss that? Because if you know the why of a relationship, it gives you all peace. Okay, so if I know that Charles, I'm looking for a woman who doesn't want children to live with, and you say, well, I want children, then we know that is going to be an issue. Okay, so why do you even start in the first place? You know, but when you are very honest about it right from the start, it's very important. Before I land, if this didn't happen and you're already in it and it's biting you on the number of children, the number of sex or the children you need, how many boys, how many girls, there are intervals. Those kind of discussions must be had between the two of you in an open, non-judgmental way, in a place of compromise, so that you can all hear each other. Thank you.
So Charles, you actually touched something sensitive. The number of boys and girls. By the way, let's actually start there. It's a myth. I want to tell our viewers, it is a myth. A man has XY chromosome. A woman has XX chromosome. I always bring my X, my husband brings his Y, and then we can have a boy child. If he brings me an X and I come with my X, we're gonna have girl children. So please, please, families, quit asking your mother, your daughter-in-laws, when are you gonna bring a boy child here? It does not depend on your son. It does not depend on your daughter-in-law.
And then when they are not getting that son, they even advise them to go for another woman who can produce a son
Outside,
for them.
we see
Yeah.
that a lot. We have
Yeah.
seen it a lot in the Western cultural. Actually, I've seen this a lot in the Western culture, and even in the southern part of Africa. So please, guys, we need to evolve from that, because it's not only. It actually leads to our next topic here, the mental health. Now a woman feels inadequate in this home, or Dr. Charles mentioned something. You're gonna learn, Dr. Candace, or you are unable to bring these children because you are infertile. So we need to be very sensitive. And also, as friends and families, church people, or whoever, colleagues, we need to move away from saying, "I man, you have been married for 12 years." We don't know people's stories. Dr. Candice.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like the conversation before is important. However, a lot of folks don't know that they can't have children until they can't have children.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the discussion before is all well and good, this is what we want, but then how do we handle it if what we want or what we agreed upon isn't what happens? Or even worse, what happens when we have children with developmental disorders or with autism, with Down syndrome, with
Yep.
all of these things? What is the plan for us? Are we, what are we doing here? Like, are we doing the amniotic test and a late term abortion? What is our plan together for these, like I say, that are beyond just number of children and whatever? Can we have them? What if they're not healthy? What if they're, all of these sorts of things? And so I think that it goes even beyond that. I had a conversation with my boyfriend recently, over what if one of our sons were gay, right? I mean, that's a big deal for me. Like, I don't think I can have a child with a man who's willing to disown his son after 17 years of us raising them and those sorts of things. So now again, we need to have these conversations. We need to sit down and be very serious. Like, okay, so what's the plan for our relationship? Are we okay with getting divorced after 16 years if one of our children is gay and you're going this way and I'm going this way? Like, we need to have these conversations all, like I say, all the way from jump.
As raw as they are, you're touching another topic, Dr. Candice, because I just actually had that conversation with my own partner that we need to be parents that are accepting. We need to be parents that are non-judgmental, because what if our kids come to us and say, "This is it. This is who I am." Are you going to love him less or her less? So thank you so much for pointing that, because we've seen it actually drifting apart families. And also you touched on the congenital malformations, where we've seen truly couples divorcing because the other spouse could not handle
They just can't manage.
it. We see this all the time.
I have a story of someone really close to my heart who had a child with developmental disorder, epilepsy, autism. And initially, the husband called her a witch and said she was responsible for that girl or boy. And they went through so much. Now they've gone their separate ways. And the mother has now become the main carer for the child, while the father doesn't even accept that that child exists. A few years ago, someone asked him about the boy, and he goes, "Oh, he's dead." Meanwhile, he's alive and is well. And the mother has had to care for that child single-handedly. And that's extremely traumatic. So I believe also, as part of the education, is to let people know that not all children are born normal. Some children may have genetic disabilities arising from birth trauma, prematurity and so on and so forth, and that these children also deserve to be loved. It's not because their mother is a witch or someone has some voodoo on them. It's not about that. These children also deserve to be helped, and that's not enough reason to kick your wife out of the house or to end your relationship. Yeah, I just thought I should chip that in.
Dr. Tope, I actually did a volunteer work a few years ago in Uganda, and I went to a place where there was cerebral palsy children and many kids, like maybe 30. And the owner of the home was telling me that the parents have not visited for years because these kids brought misfortune. That's what even these women, their men left them because of these children. So we need to do better. We need to do better. You know what? This topic is amazing, guys. I don't want to stop. Extended family. Dr. Charles, that one really stimulated you when we talked about it because it's also another big factor that is drifting and breaking relationships and marriages.
You see, when you start dating and getting to know the person, and you don't care about extended families.
Yep.
But the very moment it starts getting serious and you want to consider settling or even long term, because nowadays people have relations that they don't settle in the traditional way, but it to be a long term relationship where everybody gets to know everyone, the children get to know themselves, and very respectful. You need to know the family values beyond the man or the woman, and ask yourself whether you can cope. You need to know the family values, because every child is raised with certain values. And the bigger family holds those values even more stronger. Yes. So if, for instance, it is an expectation in the family that their son is supposed to provide for the sisters, you need to ask yourself, can I handle this? Okay? And that's why Dr. Candace and Dr. T said, when you fall in love, pause and think for a second. Because most of the time, the red signs are there. Because if this man has been raised, and most of our brothers that have moved from Africa into the Western world who are getting married here are facing these problems. Because the expectation is that my son is abroad. Every month, he's supposed to send me money for the upkeep. He's supposed to take care of the sister's 4 children, the brother and the uncle's 2 other nephews, the sister's uncle's daughter. And he knows that this is an expectation. Yep. So if you fall in love with such a man, don't ever think you're going to change that.
Yep.
You will end up causing more grief to yourself. So you need to understand the family dynamics of what you are getting yourself into, because every family's dynamic is different. Okay, and some of them it is a necessity. And let me state it. Some of them it is a necessity that the guy has to send money. He may be having aged parents or sick parents who need money. He cannot turn their backs on them. But nowadays, what we see is that people get together and they want to shut you down, shut you off from your extended family. Hey, see that? It's me and you, only us. Yeah, I love you, you love me. That is it. There's nothing beyond us. No, it's wrong, and it's wrong, and it's wrong. It never works. I was thinking that it was only an African problem, not realizing that even in the West, it's even a bigger problem.
Yes.
In the West,
yes,
they still take care of their nephews and nieces. People think that it's only in Africa that we do it. Okay, so you need to understand the man, where he's coming from, family values, expectations, okay? And ask yourself whether you can manage or cope. Thank you.
Well, now, I was going to say, just to piggyback on that, like we see, like you say, the same kind of dynamic or similar dynamic, like you say, in Hispanic cultures. If you're with a Hispanic, expect to be at their house every weekend. Expect to, be involved in all of their activities. Probably even expect to move in with your in-laws after you get married. Like these are the types of things like you should already, and again, educate yourself about, like you said, family values. But then there are also some families where you should expect to be like kicked out, like expect to go forward your own way on your own. Don't ask for any help. Don't expect any help. No one is going to help you. That's your stuff. That's your life. That's your. So again, it's very important to understand those things, what they think is acceptable. Right now, if they came from an abusive family background, right, and
Mm,
they
mm.
see their mother or their father being abused, again, that's something that they're gonna think is acceptable,
Normal.
is normal. If they're seeing cheating, if they're seeing illegitimate children outside the families, whatever it is, that is, like, again, family values are not always spoken.
Yep.
It's more about what is normal, like you said, what is frequently occurring in the family. My parents used to try to tell me that for years, and of course I didn't hear, but but they were right every single time.
Yeah.
Every time that I found a guy who had a different upbringing, a different family set of values from my own, it never worked, because I can't train a grown man to understand what is acceptable to me, and so that was one of the huge, like you said, and it's not just what's discussed, it's just what do you see, what have you experienced in your life, and those are values that you will internalize as well.
You know what, Dr. Candice, actually talk of the values. Us coming from Africa, there's families that value rituals. Let's talk about this. The voodoo stuff, the traditional stuff. And you come from a praying family that is Christian, that does not know anything, and you find yourself in the middle of this. And we talk about kids. We've seen friends with kids now that need to be initiated, done some traditional stuff on Christmas time. They must go to their in-laws. Guys, this is serious, and it causes a lot of pain in relationships and in marriage. So women and men, make sure whoever you get yourselves with, think twice. And of course, know your why. Why are you getting yourself with this person? Do you know the values and the principles this person practice? And also, of course, are you able to abide by that? Because once you get in, like Dr. Charles said, there's families that will say, this is how we do things. This is how we're all in this family. There's culture, like we have friends from East Indian population. There, you are expected to move in some families. You move in to that family, right?
Yeah.
So interracial marriages, they could work, but we need to know our why, and also the ability to learn and study this culture you're going to marry into, or you're going to have a relationship into. Dr. T, you want to say something? And of course, guys, I would like us to talk about mental health in relationships. And of course, it happens to be, we are coming from, Black communities where mental health is fairly new to us. Someone I actually asked, is it okay to ask about people's mental health state and also their families when you get yourself into a relationship? Kick off, you guys.
Okay, thank you. So mental health is something I'm very passionate about. You know that. I talk a lot about it. And that's because it's very underreported amongst the ethnic minorities. And we tend to also suffer from a lot of mental health issues and problems. We are less likely to access services like for counseling and psychotherapy and CBT and all whatnot. So it is real. The fact that it's not seen, the fact that it's not like a broken leg or a broken foot or a blind eye or a chest pain doesn't mean that it's unimportant. So the first thing is increasing awareness about mental health issues. And yes, mental health issues exist in the ethnic minorities. In marriages and relationships, oftentimes the first thing to give is your mental health when you're in a stressful relationship. It's very important to identify and know what the symptoms of depression are, the symptoms of anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorders and things like that. When people are so stressed up that they're not sleeping, they're so stressed that they're not functioning, they're too scared to leave the house. All this could be indicators to underlying health problems. And just as you go to your doctor for a headache, you should be able to present to your doctor with these mental health challenges, not your pastor, not always a close friend. Because we're talking about during the last show that when you have a toothache, you don't go to a skin doctor, you go to a dentist. So when you start to have mental health issues, you need to go to the mental health practitioner and get some help. And we need to stop stigmatizing mental health problems in ethnic minorities. We need to stop saying, oh, he's crazy. Growing up, I was told that the only mad people I knew were the vegan psychotics, were the people that were out on the streets talking to themselves in rags. So now we have people that are well-made, that are professional, that earn the money, that have the influence, killing themselves from suicide because they also suffer. So it's not until we strip off our clothes and we're walking down the streets that we're called mad. People can look all put together and they can still be very crazy. I'll start with that. Thank you.
I'll add something small to what Dr. T has said. You know, when you fall in love with somebody, you instantly trust the person. You want to be vulnerable with the person until they show otherwise. Then you begin to hide those vulnerabilities. So we need to be very, very sensitive when our partners exhibit signs of fragility, vulnerability, and breakdowns. We need to be very sensitive. You need your man to be there for you, but you've realized that for the past 1 week, this man is not there. Most of the time, the instant reaction is, oh, he's changing, and nowadays he doesn't care about me, and it's all about himself. Maybe that man is genuinely suffering. And he's expecting you to reach out, because guess what? Men from the ethnic minority communities, we do not voice our mental struggles. We internalize them, because that is how we've been raised. We've been raised to be men. Internalize it, swallow it, deal with it. Do you know the only person that we are able to confide in? Our mother, not even our father. If you have a good relation with your mother, she's the only one you have solace in. And you call her, Mom, I am struggling. I can't eat. I can't sleep. And Mom will open up. And Dr. Unati, when I lost my mom, I lost that safe space. Okay.
Yep.
That time I wasn't married. It was when I remember in the university, when things get tough, I will write an exam. I am high achieving, so I did not take failure quite lightly. And the results will come. I break down. Guess who I call? I call Mom. And she'll say, it's okay, son. Next time you'll do well. That therapeutic 2-minute session with your mom is like breast milk. You are rejuvenated and you get on your day. And sometimes men seek these things in our wives or in our partners. Today, I am being very blunt with everybody to know that if you are a wife, know that your husband expects to see some traits of the mother in you, including counseling. Not only beration, not only complaining. Sometimes let us be sensitive and respectful and watch the signs. Why has my husband lost his job? Maybe he is struggling. He lost his job. Can you tell him, honey, it's okay. We will make it through. You sit with him, encourage him, instead of saying, you are a useless man. Nowadays, you don't provide anything for the house. Nowadays, there's nothing that you do. I've been going up and down and coming, and then you lose him completely. So I have given very deep reveal to wives here. If you are listening, men, we want that trust in our women and be very sensitive to our mood swings. And usually the women will see it and they rather interpret it to mean that we are seeing other women or we are fed up. No, we might be struggling and the struggle might be very real. When you dig a little bit deeper, we will open up to you, and guess who can help us? Guess who can get a counselor for us? Our wives.
The wife. Yeah.
Dr. Charles, you guys, how passionate I am when it comes to men's health, because COVID-19 invited us all to be vulnerable. And I saw a shift in my practice, and I saw these men coming in crying because they didn't have a safe place. And most of them are married men. Most of them, they're in relationships. They have their homes, they provide, they go in and out, but they don't feel safe. There is no such a safety in their homes. So you're touching a very important topic, that women out there, let us be those safe pads. Let us be those safe pads. Sometimes, and also just to add on, depression in men tends to be slightly different in presentation. A depressed man could come across angry, aggressive, drinks a lot, starts new drugs, hangs out with a new crew of men you don't know. That could be a red flag. In fact,
or we tend to work longer hours or look for more jobs. When the man begins to work longer hours, looking for more jobs to stay away from the home, it's not that he's avoiding you. He might be hiding something that he's doing, struggling with. And my final take is, you are all moms. How do you usually hold your sons? I don't know whether you guys have noticed. A French counselor showed me. We hold them by the shoulders or by their head, and we draw them closer to our chest. I hope you all know that. Your son, no matter how tall he is, when he comes home and he's distressed, what do? You hold him and into that. Treat your husband the same way. Hold your husband, put his head on your chest, comfort him. You are his point of care.
Wow. I am indeed, Dr. Charles. And today we see gender-based violence, and a lot of times men that are depressed are aggressive and are violent. And of course, it's no excuse. I'm not saying it's only solely like that, but a lot of times, once you start listening to their story and you lead them to the path where they would get the help they need, we would save a lot of relationships in this earth.
Yep, absolutely.
This was beautiful, guys. I don't want to stop. And of course, we have to come to an end. I do not want to stop this conversation. It was beautiful, and I'm so enjoying it. Our viewers are loving it. So many comments. I can't read them for you guys. But, in close, I would like you, Dr. Charles, learn some lovely nuggets here before we close. And of course, you ladies, you'll come after.
Okay. My closing comments are very simple. Let love remain supreme. Let love remain kind. Let love remain giving. Let love remain compromising. Let love remain honest. Let love remain love. Treat each other just 50% of the way you treat your pets, and you have a peaceful home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Dr. T.
Right. I'll just really tag on with Dr. Charles that we should let love be supreme, whether it's in our finances, whether it's in our sexual relationships, whether it's to be there for our partners for mental health support. It's really important that we make love supreme. I'm a Christian, and the Bible says you talk about faith, you talk about hope, you talk about love, but the greatest of everything is love. So let's just make sure we keep that. And even as we celebrate Pink Shirt Day, everyone is taught to show some type of kindness to the other. Let's start to show that to our partners. Let's start to show that to our friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. Dr. Candace?
Mine is, I think to women in relationships, of course, don't use sex as a weapon. Like I said, the sex, and I guess to go further with that, have sex regularly in your relationship. If you didn't want to have sex, then you should probably rethink being in a relationship. That I honestly really want women to kind of rethink that, because again, if you've got these 10 things or 20 things that you want him to do, and every time that he misses one, you're going to take away the one thing that he wants, then I think, like I said, then, don't bother with being in a relationship. Just go ahead and stay single. Now, if you want to nurture your relationship, have sex with your partner, period.
I loved it. You know what? A lot of my friends think I love this discussion. I love raw, vulnerable conversations, because we all have these thoughts in our heads, but we've been conditioned how we grew up in the cultures we grew up, the conditioning, the values, and we hide. I always say, actually, Dr. T, I don't know if I've ever said this to you. Having moved to this side of the world, Westerners, they are the most easiest to treat. You know why? Very honest. I was actually talking to a friend here. I said, 10 years ago, I had a patient who came to me and told me that, doc, I have an irritation down there. And you know what? I know what my problem is. I changed my toy. I think my toy is another material now, and I'm getting probably yeast infection down there. And listen to this. It's not like she's white, she's doing it more than my black sister. Hey, I always say we all love sex equally, all races equally. But the greatest gift this side of the world, these people are very honest. And that's why they live longer than us, because they seek the help they need immediately. They will not sit with a discharge for months.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, I want to be very vulnerable here and honest. Our people struggle and suffer in silence because there's been so much shame, there's been so much guilt, there's been so much hiding. Our people hide, and yet they suffer in silence. So, in closure, guys, normalize physical examinations, normalize mental health support, normalize being vulnerable and raw and open with your partners. You're going to have a man like Dr. Ross said, your man will be thinking about you. Don't let your man think of his ex. They were together when they were 19 and you are together for 20 years. These things happen, guys. And would love to see families coming together. Our children deserve us. They deserve access to us. When we bring them to this world, they deserve the love, the union, the unity. Let's not let things that we could work on divide us. In closure, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Come back here next week. We have all these raw conversations. I love bringing all these thought leaders because when we leave this space, we are all transformed. Bring your friends, bring your colleagues, press that like button, share this. Share it. It must reach all corners of this world. My colleagues here, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I love you so much. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye.